given an integer array nums. A subsequence keeps order but may skip values. Its bitwise XOR is the XOR of the kept numbers. Return the length of the longest subsequence whose bitwise XOR is non-zero, or 0 if none exists. In example 1, XORing every value together gives 0, so the full array is not a valid subsequence. One longest choice keeps the last two values, 2 XOR 3 equals 1, which is non-zero. The longest length is 2. In example 2, XORing the whole array is already non-zero. We can keep every value, so the longest length is 3. We want the longest possible subsequence with a non-zero XOR sum. Naturally, the longest possible subsequence is the entire array itself. So our first step is simple, XOR every single number together. If the total XOR sum is non-zero, we're done. The answer is the full array length n. What happens if the XOR sum of the entire array turns out to be 0? Taking all elements fails our condition. But we don't need to rebuild subsequences from scratch. We just need to figure out what happens if we remove a single element. Here is the key insight: if the total XOR sum of all elements is 0, removing any single non-zero element x leaves behind an XOR sum equal to x itself. Since x is non-zero, the remaining n-1 elements are guaranteed to have a non-zero XOR sum. If we can find just one non-zero number, our answer drops by at most 1 to n-1. What if every element in the array is 0? No matter which numbers or how many numbers you pick, the XOR sum will always be 0. No valid subsequence exists, and we return 0. We begin with a single pass through the array. In this single loop, we accumulate the total XOR sum of all elements while simultaneously tracking if at least one non-zero number exists. With our loop complete, we first check if the total XOR sum is non-zero. If it is, taking the full array works, and we would return length n. But here, the sum is 0, so we move to our next check. If the total XOR sum is 0, but the array contains at least one non-zero number, removing that single non-zero element guarantees a non-zero XOR sum for the remaining elements. We return the array length -1. Finally, if every single element in the array is 0, it is impossible to form any non-zero XOR sum. We drop through to return 0. Let n be the length of nums. Time is O of n, one linear pass updates the total XOR and the non-zero flag. The three constant time checks after the loop do not change the order. Space is O of 1, only a few scalars for the XOR total, the flag, and the length. Function longest subsequence takes the array nums. N is the length of nums. Start the total XOR at 0. Start has non-zero as false. Loop over each number in nums. Fold the number into the total XOR. If the number is not 0, mark that a non-zero value exists. After the loop, if the total XOR is non-zero, return the full length n. Else if we saw a non-zero value, return n-1. Otherwise return 0.